It's time for Insight, an inside view of what's happening in South Jersey. Join your hosts Anthony Fanucci and Jim Quinn as QVC brings you Insight with Anthony and Jim.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the beautiful Queen Restaurant, Lincoln and Landis Avenue in Vineland. And Sandy Forosisky is with me today, who is the Queen of Economic Development. How many years, Sam, have you been doing economic development for Vineland?
Oh, for Vineland, I've been doing it for almost 17 years. And then, of course, I was with the Empowerment Zone before that.
Yeah, that's true. And it's interesting because Sandy was there, the Empowerment Zone, and then you came over to Vineland for economic development. And Jerry Velasquez, who, like Sandy, is a dynamo, he was the Empowerment Zone director, and then he became the executive director of the Cumberland County Improvement Authority, now called the Authority.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's been
Still CCIA to me.
But we had. Anyway, you're probably wondering, what are you two sitting there with these two bottles of wine?
Yeah, there you go.
This is the big thing, and Sandy was here the last time when the mayor was off, and Yilmaz, who is the owner of the Queen Restaurant, said to me, Jim, he said, are there liquor licenses available in Vineland? And Sandy,
no, there's not a lot available.
Yeah.
No.
And it's interesting too, because I was just down to Hotel Charlesworth. Have you and Gary been down there?
Oh, several times.
God,
Yeah,
isn't that fabulous?
Yeah,
super food. And they have the same thing.
Yes.
They have Cedar Rose Winery. So anyway, after, it's probably a couple of months ago, Sandy was sitting in for the mayor, and she said, the liquor licenses are very expensive if they're available. So I said to Yilmaz, I had been down to Hotel Charlesworth, and I've also been over to Larry's too.
He has
right?
with a different winery, yes.
Do you know how many in Vineland, other than he and now Yilmaz here at the Queen Restaurant? I don't know if there's any others.
They're the two that come to mind.
Yeah, me too. And here you see the award-winning Cedar Rose Vineyards and Cedar Rose Wineries, and they insisted that Sandy and I have a sample of one of the wines, and we both like white. So anyway, the white wine that we tasted was this, which is from Cedar Rose Vineyards, and it was very, very good, Sandy. I enjoyed it, and it's available here. I don't know what the prices are, but usually $25, $30.
I'm not sure what they're selling here. The deal they have is the local wineries have so many licenses that it's shelf space. The restaurants aren't allowed to mark up the wine. They're allowed to charge what is called shelf space.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So they can charge a flat fee.
Right.
And the winery is actually selling the wine. That's how the state justified. So the winery is selling the wine, the restaurant is charging shelf space for the wine.
And it's certainly, I'll tell you, the state of New Jersey has always been very limited what they allow, anything. They're very much protective of the liquor license holders,
Well, I was just reading an article because, they're changing the rules on the breweries, and they got really strict. Oh, wow. Yes. In fact, Senator Testa introduced legislation to relax them because it's very hard on the industry. But what's happened is there's a very large lobbying group, the Restaurant Association, because liquor licenses are so expensive, that they're trying to protect their investment. So, but I was reading an article. These go back to, our licensing laws go back to Prohibition.
And that's like, holy cow.
Yes. So each city only has so many. Now,
that's right. It's 1 per 10,000.
I don't know the numbers,
I know
but it's
in
based
Millville
on
they only
population.
have 3, and they haven't surpassed 30,000. I thought by now they would get to 31,000, but Millville, totals are down like upper 20s.
But when I say ours are expensive, ours go for somewhere between 150, 250. These people, some of these people up where they're high population,
Yeah.
they're paying over $1 million
Yeah.
for a liquor license.
Well, some in Millville when I was mayor went for over $250,000.
Well, that's the chains.
That's it. You're right.
So
it was, yeah.
what happened? Well,
Yeah.
believe me, I know. I do this.
Yeah.
When Longhorn is in Millville,
Yes, right.
they paid a premium for their liquor license. That
$3.50.
became the new standard, and that's what everybody thought they could get. But there's a big difference between a chain store and your local mom and pop restaurant who wants a liquor license.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, when you look at this facility, actually, I think a wine license that Yelmaz now has makes a lot more sense than a liquor license, a plenary where you sit down to drink, you know.
Yeah, that's consumption, yeah.
Consumption, right, thank you. So, I mean, and I'm sure for Bobby over at Larry's too, and certainly Yelmaz, Sybil down in the Hotel Charlesworth, there are three that I know. I can't think of any in Millville right off the top of my head. And again, you need a certain type of restaurant. You know, like if you're a restaurant that's open from 6 to 3, that's not going to work.
Well, plus the wineries are, and I don't know, I know they raised it, but I don't know what the number is, so I don't want to say. They have a limited amount that they can do. So they're not going to waste or let one go to a place that isn't going to sell the wine.
In fact, that happened with that little restaurant, Dodge's Market in Elmer. This, you know, Cedar Rose was there, and they finally pulled it away. They weren't selling enough.
Yeah, no, they want to they want to make some money.
Sales. And here they should do very well. This is just new. It's just started, and Yelmaz will be on with us later on to talk about it and how it's going and how things are here for him. But this is such a beautiful restaurant. Sandy, you were talking at dinner about somebody you know that did all this interior.
Oh no,
I'm sorry.
It was your friend. Yeah, no, it was someone else.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
no, I don't know.
Yeah, but whoever did this did a nice job, and it's bright.
Beautiful.
It is really is very nice, and they do have. And I tell you, folks, I don't know how they do it. 2 meals for $25, and that's super salad, entree, vegetable, and then dessert. So a lot of times I get turkey. There's no seafood on there.
No, there's seafood on them.
Is there on the 2 for $25?
Oh,
no,
that
I think
don't
because
know.
that's so expensive. Okay. I think that's probably why it's not. Here's the 2 for $25.
Oh, okay.
The chicken parm, Italian style meatloaf, baked ziti, baked homemade lasagna, eggplant parm, grilled marinated chicken, baked stuffed shell parmesan, sauteed calf's liver, which is my favorite, sauteed chicken scampi, roast turkey, which is my favorite, and spaghetti with meatballs, and then you get soup or salad with it, and a dessert. The dessert's like pudding or ice cream. So when you think about that, if the two of you come in, it's $12.50. I was here the other night with a friend of mine, and I got the bill. In fact, here they have it up on the screen. Thank you, George. And there, you know, again, it's $12.50 if two of you come in. And I walked out the other night with my friend Joe, and we had our bill was $25 for two of us. And, you know, and I had stuff I actually took home. So, I mean, the portions are still good. It's not like they cut the portion or anything, but you can see the seafood, which is very expensive, is not included in that. Although last night, in fact, you talked about Gary, your husband loves it.
Oh, the broiled flounder.
Isn't that amazing? And he has that in Millville. Last night I went to Millville and had the fried flounder, but I love the broiled flounder stuff with crab meat especially. So, and
he thinks it's the best. I mean,
my uncle,
he gets it all the time at different restaurants.
Yeah, it is.
He said the Queen has the best broiled flounder.
I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. My uncle, who passed away a few years ago, he's in his 90s. He loved that. That was his favorite meal, was the broiled stuffed seafood with the flounder. And it was interesting. Yelmaz and I got talking last night about his experience. He went to Vineland High School. He said, Jim, as soon as I got out of school, I worked. He said, I worked 45, 50 hours a week besides going to school. He said, I get 4 or 5 hours sleep. But, you know, to the credit of people that are in the restaurant business, it's a tough business.
Oh.
You know, it really is.
Oh, it is.
And I mean, as we look at it, I'm sure initially in Vineland, we had a lot of Italian restaurants, which makes sense, Vineland being a great Italian community. So we had a lot of restaurants that way. Then as time would go on, Lefty Klikos, and then you had the Greek fellas.
Oh, yeah, Olympia.
Olympia, and oh my God, is that fabulous? And Neptune, Teddy Marcantonis.
Oh, yeah.
We had a lot of Greek people that came into Vineland and had really good food. But again, they worked very hard at it. Now there are a few Greek restaurants left, although I hear one may be for sale. Yeah. But as we look at it, the people now that have come in are a lot of Turkish people. In fact,
the
Prestige
Green Olive.
and the Green Olive, yep, and the one across from the Armory too. I think he's also Turkish as well.
Right.
So yeah, you got
what is that?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Palestine or something.
Something like that. Yeah, right across from the Armory.
That's yes.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not sure. How about the Black Olive? Are they Italian?
Oh yeah, no, they're Turkish too.
They're Turkish also.
Yes, I believe.
So I mean, I thank God, and as we talked about, most of the Turkish restaurants I go to, the food's very good. Although I have prejudice towards the Queen because they're one of my advertisers, and I like them. They're friends, and they're convenient, and probably 3-4 days a week. Being I'm single, I end up eating or getting a takeout from the Queen restaurant or diner, depending which one. But again, folks, if you think about, inflation has been tough, but here they're really doing a great job.
Yeah, they're trying.
By 2 for $25, and that includes salad or soup, and your entree, vegetable, and dessert.
Sure.
So it's a very good
deal.
You're lucky you can get away with $12.50 at a fast food place anymore, as well. So I got to ask you. I did a thing on Facebook the other day, and I really value people that go out of their way to help you, especially in retail business. It's something, and you wouldn't know, Gary might know. There's a fellow named Al who was the men's manager at Bosco's. I really liked him. There's a young fellow named Andrew that I think he works at the Vineland Public Schools, and he also works at Target. Just the nicest guy, very, very helpful and polite. And in our Wendy's in Millville, there's a lady named Tammy Carty. She's got more energy than any 10 people I've ever seen. Fabulous worker, always very, very nice. And then next door, I go to Walgreens in Millville, and there's a young man named Kevin, probably in his mid-20s, and he's a night manager. And again, just a super person. How you appreciate what they do, and you just really look at that and you say, hey, they go above and beyond the minimum. And I'm sure, Sandy, lots of people that way too, where you go and, the things that are going on. But speaking of things that are going on and food, got a big event coming up Saturday.
Yeah, the Food Truck Festival. Yeah. Sunday's the Food Truck Festival.
That's draws how many?
Oh God, you're calling me for a number. It was thousands, tens of 10,000.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah,
10,000. Yeah.
It is. People love food truck food.
Well, they want to try the different foods, right?
And some of the food is really good.
Oh, it is. Yes. Yeah. I always head for a seafood truck.
These people are booked. I mean, you have to plan well a year in advance to get them on the schedule. So now that we're on the schedule for the fourth Sunday, it's the third Sunday. Excuse me. It's really tough because they're booked for the warm weather months.
Isn't that amazing? I think it was last Saturday at the New Jersey Motorsports Park. They had a food truck festival also. And boy, it was funny, Sandy. Last year I went to it. I didn't go this year. Last year I went to it, and I had never seen so many people. But COVID was just getting over. People wanted to get out, and they had thousands also, and it's nice. They have music. You guys have music. You have a lot of activity. Very, very well done, really. How many years have you been doing that?
The Food Truck Festival? Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm going to say about this is about probably I think it's the fourth year that we're doing it.
I must have been to the first one. That was
we've only, and it's, the first year we started small because they didn't want to, if you have too many trucks, the revenue isn't high enough for them to come back. Yeah. So we limited it. The lines were so long. People were complaining because the lines were so long.
I remember that year I was there. Yeah.
So we had to add more trucks, the following year. And this year they're 20, I don't know. I know the number, and now I forgot the number. But because that's a VDID event. It's not a city event.
I know it was,
it's a VDID event.
Yeah.
But they've increased it. I mean, they've increased the number of trucks.
Now, speaking of VDID, do you know this guy named Brian Lankin?
Do I know Brian Lankin? He's an institution on the avenue.
He sure is, isn't he?
Yeah, his dad.
Yeah.
I remember being a little girl. It was Miles Shoes before it was Al's Shoes.
Right.
His dad worked for Miles.
I see.
And then, when he died, it's funny because his father was head of the VDID.
Right. Yeah.
And Al.
Right.
Lankin. And when he passed away, Brian stepped into his shoes.
Yeah, he said he was honored.
And
Mayor asked him to.
See, that's. So if you have specialty retail, and Vineland, we're fortunate. We have Rienzi's, that bridal salon has been there forever.
Yep.
We have Al's Shoes.
Yeah.
We have the jewelry store. Yeah. If you have specialty retail, people will come downtown. And it'll never be what it used to be, where everybody came shopping. We were a regional shopping center.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the 60s. The 70s.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
We had so many retail stores.
And you had
Stan
Lee and Don Michaels and all those great places. So, and you had 3 shoe stores.
Yeah, we had a lot. We had Boston, Ed's Shoe Center.
We
had more. We had tons of shoe stores. We had tons of women's clothing. Oh my goodness. And then the 70s, we had the boutiques come together.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's true.
And then the mall opened. When the mall opened, that was the, nail in the coffin. Yeah.
And now it's interesting because it's now Amazon.
That's killing the malls.
Yeah.
It's killing the malls.
Wow.
So, yes.
Retail is tough.
It is very tough. It is very tough. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you had an opportunity with Brian Lankin. 2 years now, I've taken my camera crew out, and we've filmed his fundraiser that he does at the Golf and Swim Club.
Oh yeah, he's a swimmer.
And that was so much fun to watch, and they people really doing a job, man. Their competition, swimming, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
It was really neat to see. And John Casady.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he swam under John Casady.
He did. John was there, and John is like the god of swimming. Everybody knew him and loved John. And I don't know, I think I told Brian, this was funny. The only time I've done MC jobs probably forever and ever. So this was probably 30 years ago, maybe. What was the restaurant in the mall?
Which one? Into the mall?
No, the other one. It was like right inside the mall as you would go in, over in one corner. Anyway, I forget the name of it. I used to go there and stuff. Anyway, that's where the banquet was that I was doing for the swim club.
Okay.
And I did not know.
Did Rosemary own it? Rosemary had.
Oh no, I know you mean.
Yeah, she had.
Sold her to Millville.
Yeah, she did. She had a restaurant in the mall.
Yeah, did she?
I can't
now
think
this
of
was big. This was right like at the corner. If you look at the mall, it's right there. Maybe somebody watching can let me know. But anyway, I had the master ceremony of the event. It was the swimming event for Vineland High School winning another state championship. A very, very nice event. So John Casady asked me to do it. I said I'd be honored. So I'm doing the event, and I introduced the swimmers and this one, this one. And then it gets to the divers. And I didn't know that the diver's not a swimmer. So I said, now we're going to introduce I must have said swimmers. They all booed me. It was the divers. We are not swimmers, we're divers. So I learned something at that event. But yeah, it was, gosh, you talk about success. It's like Vineland's the best swim school in this, all over the area. People.
Yeah, the Dolphin too. That was the swim club. And
yeah,
we had a lot of those neighborhood pools that they all had swim teams.
Right.
Yeah, the Capri, the Northwest, the Dolphin.
Yeah. We actually lost 2 of the best Millville swimmers to Vineland, the Dehaney girls, Heather Dehaney and Adina, and they're super. In fact, their mom used to be my dental hygienist, Mary Linda, super lady, and I ended up losing her. Whatever, she was with Bill Dudley or who she was with. she left them to go do pediatric dentistry. And I thought, well, the kids deserve it. She's just the best. Did a wonderful job. And that's the other thing too. I don't know. You've got your 2 boys. Whether you and Gary were involved with them, like Little League. Or,
oh gosh, yeah, East Vineland Little League.
Yeah, oh my God,
oh yeah,
what a great place.
Yeah, and then in high school, my one son went to Siguro. He was a wrestler, and my other son went to the prep. He was on the golf team.
Oh, that's super.
Yeah.
There's a lifetime sport too.
Oh yeah.
Great.
But yeah, East Vineland Little League. Oh yeah, and VBA basketball.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, and they were doing soccer, and then I said, guys, you got to make a choice. Mom can't do all these sports, so they liked baseball. They preferred baseball over soccer.
That's good. Yeah.
Thank God I had my father to.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He was great. Your dad was the best. I really enjoyed him a lot. He did a super job as the undersheriff. That's for darn sure. I wish you were still alive today.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're alive.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's a lot of stress on that right now.
There, yeah.
No, that's true. Good point as well. But now tell everybody what your 2 sons' names are and what they do.
Well, my son Garrett Forosisky, he's an ER doctor at Inspira.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah. And my son Evan is taking over for my husband at GE Mechanical. He went and got his engineering degree and a master's in engineering management.
Wow.
So yeah, too very proud.
Well, you bet. Wow.
Yeah, I pushed education. They called me They feared my husband for discipline, but when it came to school, Mom, man.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, where did Garrett go to college?
Garrett got accepted to Villanova. So he went to the prep. He got accepted into Villanova into a 7-year program, what they had with Drexel Medical School.
Oh, okay.
So he actually got accepted to medical school as a freshman in college.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, all you had to do was so this is a program. A lot of colleges have this. They partner with a medical school for people that have really high SAT scores and grades. So you apply to both the medical school and the college at the same time.
Okay.
And then you have to maintain at least a 3.5 or 3.8, and then you have to get a certain score on your MCATs. But then you are automatically accepted into medical school, which saves the stress of competing with all those kids.
That's great.
So it's a good. Yeah. I mean, it's good for some.
Yeah.
But you go 3 years, and then your senior year, you go to medical school, and then you go back and graduate with your class a year later. Neat. Yeah. So, but that's a little tough for a senior to go to medical school when all their friends are still a senior at Villanova. Yeah. So every weekend my son was going back to Villanova. He learned real quick. He had to cut that out. Yeah.
He keeps focusing on studying.
Yeah, and then Evan had he followed his father. My other son had no interest.
Well, it worked. They're both doing very well, and
they're both local. We had a summit today at the college talking about what do you do and what opportunities do you give your children? I'm very fortunate they didn't leave. That there was opportunity.
Yes. Exactly.
I was very lucky. He stayed with the local hospital.
That's good. Next time I go to the ER, I have to look them up.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I'm very lucky. I have my grandchildren.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Well, you're awful young looking to have grandchildren, lady. Anyway, we're talking with the best economic development director probably in the state of New Jersey, Sandy Forosisky. And we'll be back with Sandy right after these messages.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves by making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
For home, auto, and business insurance in the tri-state area, there's only one place to go, and that's Hardenberg Insurance. At Hardenberg, we use our 60 years of experience in the insurance industry and leading-edge technology to provide a strategic plan to best meet the needs of our clients. Our staff's expertise extends to all varieties of insurance coverages and allow us to keep pace in this continually evolving industry. When you are looking for home, auto, or business insurance, make sure to contact Hardenberg Insurance.
It's time for Insight, an inside view of what's happening in South Jersey. Join your hosts Anthony Fanucci and Jim Quinn as QVC brings you Insight with Anthony and Jim.
Welcome back to Insight. I'm Jim Quinn, along with Sandy Forosisky, who's the Economic Development Director for the City of Vineland. And I had a guy that I know you like and I like a lot, was former Senator Nick Aselda last night, because Sandy, I remember it's probably been, 15, 18 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when he went to bat for us? And
yeah, he got the UEZ extended
exactly.
again.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, that was been so very important to Vineland in particular.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because you had people make purchases. When UEZ was in Millville, the only store Millville had that anybody bought was Farm and Family. And then eventually, in the early 90s, they got Walmart. But then the thing was starting to sunset, and I guess.
Well, yeah, because as luck would have it, I keep losing this.
Yeah.
The last year, before they took away our funding, Millville was actually, because Vineland and Millville are a joint zone.
Right, that's right. I forgot.
And
Thanks
Millville
to Jim Early.
had 40%, we had 60%.
Yeah.
I said, oh my God, because we always did a 70-30 split because we're a joint zone.
Yes, I remember
and
that. Yeah.
Every city keeps its own sales tax, but when we split the admin costs for the joint UEZ, and then when we would get the figures the last year, I said it's 60-40 now, and then the governor ended the funding.
Yeah.
But it's back.
That's great.
We're very excited.
That is.
Yeah.
How long has it been back, son?
Well, fiscal 2022, so July 1st started fiscal 2023 for the state.
Right, gotcha.
So we were appropriated last year, the whole state was appropriated $40 million, and they have this special formula where they take your unemployment, your distress is 50%, and then 50% is how much sales tax you collect,
Okay.
and they come up with this formula.
Right.
So the subsequent, that was an appropriation, and they said the subsequent years would be based on, unfortunately, they cut the sales tax exemption for businesses. So it used to be you had unlimited sales tax exemption on building supplies and office supplies. They haven't capped new construction. That's still unlimited, that you can build, notes, the material is tax exempt. But if it's repairs or office supplies, it's capped at $100,000 for each.
I see.
$100,000 in purchases.
Right.
So all that sales tax that is now being paid, they're saying that is what's funding, giving the cities the money.
Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha. How they come up with that formula, which is really.
Yeah, so this year we all got twice as much as last year.
Oh, that's super.
And every city got their own allocation.
So when you look at over the period of time, it's had to be millions of dollars brought in from the UEZ to the city of Vineland over all these years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's because, what I was going to get at was the UEZ second generation.
We have a loan fund.
Yes. Right.
Which we spun off into the Vineland Revolving Loan Fund. So that funding will be a perpetual loan fund.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, I got to give credit back. So when we were first established in 1985, no UEZ ever thought to use UEZ money for a loan. In fact, there was one board member. We used to have to go up to the state to get our projects approved. There was one board member who consistently voted no on on our UEZ loans, and he kept saying, because I don't think loans is an appropriate use. And I can remember the executive director at the time. I remember Karen Franzini.
I remember her too. Yeah.
Saying,
just leave it on.
I'm sorry, saying it's an allowable use, and the board member said, well, I don't care. I just don't think it's an appropriate use. The bank should be doing loans. And I was like, well, see, this is what happens when board members are subjective. You're not supposed to be what your opinion is. It's what's the allowable use of the funds. And what we did, what Vineland created, the banks loved us. We didn't want to supplant the banks.
No, you were
We subordinate.
Exactly.
So we have a formula where the banks would do 60%, we would subordinate at 30%, and the borrower would only have to put 10% down instead of like 30%. It was a great thing. The banks love us.
I just talking to the president of TD Bank.
Oh, we work with TD a lot.
Do you know who he is?
Oh yeah, no, it's Curly.
Yeah, it's my cousin.
Yes, they just promoted
Rob.
him.
Yeah, I was just talking to him before we came in here for today. He gave me a call. I was kidding him. I said, well, I actually like you, Rob, as president better than the president we have. But he isn't really. And I know I've been involved with the mayor, and they've gotten together. What a wonderful situation for the city of Vineland and for the business people here that, can work 60, 30, 10, whatever it is. I mean, that was really a smart move. And I mean, the nice thing is it gives Vineland another edge when it comes to subordinating loans. Yeah, you've got the electric utility.
Well, you just saw that article in the Inquirer in the Atlantic City Press.
Wow.
And really, it is. It's having number one, having available water and sewer.
Yeah.
Having the most competitive electric rates around.
Thank God for Vineland.
And then having financing.
Yeah.
So now I need land. Now I just need more land.
Yeah, that's it. It's 69 square miles.
Yeah,
but we need more on 55.
Well, people, you don't understand. Like all East Vineland, like that's not industrial land. We are. Who would have thought? I can't believe it.
Maybe you could go talk to Norma and see if they'd like to sell some land.
Yeah, we're working with the state. We will be turning to, if you remember, the West Campus, the Vineland Developmental Center.
Right.
That's
right.
The state is giving it to us if we demo all the buildings.
Oh, that's
so that's going to be our next industrial park.
How many
It's 65 acres.
That's super.
But it's, we got 7 lots out of it.
Yeah, that's great. That's 7 more great developments that can go on there. Folks, if you've never been to the Vineland Industrial Park, just take a ride and you go, oh my God, everything. Everywhere I go, Ray Kronk and I are friends, so I go up there.
Oh, Ray, he's expanding.
Yeah, everybody I talk to. And the neat thing too, when you talk about the cold storage, Vineland's electric utility is much less expensive than Atlantic Electric. So you're getting a win by being in Vineland, from that aspect of it. And again, what Sandy was saying, I'm sure when people want to do financing, you can certainly work with them, as you talked about, with the bank putting up 60, you guys putting up 30, and they putting up 10. That's a heck of a deal. It really is. And, I know you said, Sandy, from the exit of exit
35.
Thank you.
That's Garden Road. That's our industrial park.
It's 30 minutes to the bridge, basically.
Yes, it is.
It's wonderful. And that's, and of course we talked the last time, which is a benefit too, is exit 26, which is the last exit in Vineland.
Yeah, Main
basically.
Road.
Yeah, Main Road. That one is a good one where you got South Vineland. And I know.
Well, we just redid that whole Burns Avenue.
Wonderful.
It's beautiful.
It is. It's fabulous.
Yeah, because and the state is putting a light at the exit off the south.
That. Oh my God,
yes,
that'll be wonderful.
The southbound exit. So when you come off to Main Road to make a left-hand turn, there'll be a traffic light.
Wow, that'll be super.
They're doing that.
That is fantastic.
And part of the deal we made with the state is we would redo Lincoln, so you wouldn't make a left-hand turn there anymore, because at certain times of the day, it was you had to gun it. A truck would have to close their eyes and just floor it.
Yeah.
So now the Burns Avenue is much safer, much safer.
It sure is. It really is. I mean, I started working at WMVB in 1970, and so all those years I was down in that area where, had that little rotunda, and it's so nice now because you turn off before you get down to that end part before heading south.
That's only to make a right-hand turn.
Right, exactly,
yeah.
And really why you'd want to use it, I don't know. Maybe you want to get out of the store or...
and the gas station.
You can do that, sure, that makes sense. But Boy, I tell you what, it's so nice to have that Burns Road. And boy, I tell you, so nice that Burns Road is a nice road now, because that used to be in really bad shape.
It's beautiful. Going to the mall, they really did a nice job.
They really did.
Yeah, well, we did that. So the city, the CCI, the authority, and the county, we did that as a shared service, all three of us.
Yeah, I remember talking to Jerry Velasquez about it too. And that's where, I mean, I've seen the cooperation with the city of Vineland and the authority. I mean, with the police building, with all kinds of good things that works well.
They do all the administration, and it really makes it a lot easier to do something.
Good. Yes. And probably the number 2 economic development director next to you.
Oh no,
might be Kim Ayers, so I love.
Oh, I love Kim.
She's sweet.
Kim and I went from kindergarten to to 12th grade together.
No kidding.
Yeah, we went together. We were next door neighbors.
I thought I remember
Allen
that.
Avenue.
It wasn't somebody else. Was it the superintendent of schools in Cumberland? So there was another amazing lady that was in your neighborhood. Kim mentioned it. Maybe. I'll have to ask Kim. I'll let you know. Yeah, there was another someone like Shelley Snyder type of person.
Yeah, it wasn't Shelley Snyder though. I'm trying to think. I don't know. It was fun.
Yeah, it really was. I bet. And to see both of you are in the same type field, and you did for Vineland what she did for Millville in a lot of good ways, and she was the one when I was the mayor that told me about the arts district, trying to do things there. And we went from 50% vacancy to 95% occupancy. And then, of course, it's just timing. I mean, I was mayor till 2009.
Well, actually, if you want to know, so I remember I was working at the Empowerment Zone. Jerry had left. I was the director. But they had cut our funding, so I was not happy about that. They stopped funding us. But Mayor Barcy was mayor at the time, and he was on the Empowerment Zone board.
Yes.
So he reached out to me, because I'm a Vinelander.
Yeah, I know. He stole you.
And he said, so we had Jim Lely, who was phenomenal, and he handled the industrial part. But he was so funny. We got along. He grew up in our neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
I went to school with his kids. So, yeah, he's from the old neighborhood, too. But he said, I don't know all those new redevelopment programs and all that. So Mayor recruited me to come back to Vineland to be director of redevelopment to focus on the downtown because Millville was doing all the stuff in the downtown.
Now we know. We're talking with Sandy Forosisky, who is the economic development director for the city of Vineland, and we're going to have that handsome Yilmaz Kankel come join us pretty soon, too, to talk about how great things are here at the Queen restaurant. We'll be back in just a moment.
I chose DeMarco Luisi Funeral Home because they treated me with respect and compassion. I couldn't have gone through all this if I didn't have DeMarco Luisi by my side. They did everything that they could to make me happy, and that was important to me and my kids.
At the DeMarco Luisi Funeral Home, we're here for you and your family in your time of need.
It's time for Insight, an inside view of what's happening in South Jersey. Join your hosts Anthony Fanucci and Jim Quinn as QVC brings you Insight with Anthony and Jim.
Welcome back to Insight. Our guest host, Mayor Fanucci, is away today, but he sent his #1 replacement, Sandy Forosisky, and it's great to have you here, Sandy. There's some other good news I read about on Landis Avenue. What's going on?
Well, so we had a movie studio.
Wow.
So actually, we have to thank Robert Dragata, your Bridgeton guy. Well, I didn't realize he was a Vineland guy. He graduated Vineland.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
that's
and then
right.
he moved to Bridgeton, but he is a Vineland guy.
Yeah.
So he's always been involved with New York and doing movies in the theater. And he was working with a company that was wanted to do a movie, and he said they were going to do it in South Carolina. And he said, why don't you check out Cumberland County? Because the state has all these tax incentives, and they even have 5% more if you do it in South Jersey, 35% tax credit.
That's super.
So they were looking around to do this movie, and they were looking for investors. And when I heard about it, I said, well, rather than, I talked to the mayor, and I said, they're looking for money, but we want a studio. We got the Landis Marketplace. Right now we're using it as a COVID clinic. And if we could get a movie studio, we could invest money. We'll get paid back, you have to do something. Just like the state did tax credits they're not just going to say, we're going to go to Vineland, New Jersey. I know this.
Yeah.
So Robert brought them down. We showed him the building. We said, listen, we'll fund you. We'll make an investment. And as the revenues get paid back first to us.
Right.
But you have to do a studio downtown. Well, they saw the building. They went crazy. They loved it. They brought all these other people from all over. And so we're waiting for it. We submitted it as UEZ, this new money that we're getting.
That's fantastic.
And listen, I got to tell you, we've been very smart with our money. We always give businesses money, and their success is our success. We get paid back.
Yeah.
This one is an equity investment. I stand to make a lot more money than a traditional loan.
Yeah.
But so we're in there. They had to match our funding. And they're going to locate a studio. They're talking to a lot of partners. So we're very excited.
That is fantastic.
And 150 employees when they're making movies. Making movies.
That's great.
Yeah. No. This will be great for the downtown.
Yeah, it sure will be.
And it's a zombie theme.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a zombie movie.
That is cool. Yilmaz is going to be joining us. We'll take a commercial break, and we're going to talk to the man behind everything here, all this wonderful facility, right after we come back from this commercial message.
In South Jersey, we do things our own way. We say things out loud, face things head on, and never back down. And that's how we fight cancer. With the most advanced diagnostics, leading-edge technology, and a team of doctors who know how to treat your cancer. And most importantly, we do it right here at the Frank and Edith Scarpa Cancer Center, Vineland, and the Leading Edge Cancer Center, Mullica Hill.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves by making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
It's time for Insight, an inside view of what's happening in South Jersey. Join your hosts Anthony Fanucci and Jim Quinn as QVC brings you Insight with Anthony and Jim.
Welcome back to this is Insight. This is Mayor Fanucci's show, but he's got Sandy and I sitting in for him. But we've got great news. I'm so excited. Yilmaz, in fact, I think it was the last time Sandy was here filling in for the mayor. You would ask about a liquor license. Tell everybody what happened there.
Liquor license. Now we have a wine license, not a liquor.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
We
Here.
can serve liquor, only
Right.
wine only.
Yep. But this,
And
I had some of this wine. This was
Yes.
delicious, and I'm sure this is good for red wine
just
drinkers.
a bottle.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, we can serve
By the glass, right?
glass.
Yeah.
We actually started last week, Monday. Pretty soon we're gonna have a display bar.
Oh, that's super.
Yes. And we're doing
So,
pretty good so far.
and the bottle runs like 26 to dessert.
Actually start with 16 to $35, $36.
Okay.
Depends
So,
on what you
Yeah,
right.
depending
Gotcha.
on which one.
I see.
We have a sweet, dry.
Yeah.
We have a 4 or 5 option sweet, 5, 6 option dry. Right now we start with 7, 8 option choices.
Wow.
We're gonna have a more when we have a display bar after the display.
That'll be nice. It really will. Yeah, and they're nice people at Cedar Rose Wineries.
Yes,
They really,
local wine.
Yeah, and that's another win-win. You got a local business
Yes.
helping another local business, and vice versa. Sandy, as you know, you see one thing helps the other. So I mean, that's something that we've been excited about. That we knew this was going to be coming about soon. And what did it take? A month or two, almost, for this?
Take me about 3 months to.
Okay, you have to get state approval and
Yes,
stuff too,
the
right?
state has to approve.
Yeah, Sandy and I were talking about in Vineland, other than Larry's 2, I don't know. Sandy, do you know of any others?
Larry's is the only place.
And
I
they
know
deal
that-
with Bellevue out
Right.
in Hamilton. So,
And then I've been, like I told you, at the Hotel Charles where
Yeah,
they had cedar
yeah.
roast like this.
right.
I
don't know.
I can't think. Everybody else I know that serves it as a liquor license.
Which is wonderful because folks, you can come in here, you have, as Yalma says, you have to buy a bottle, but the price of the bottle, if you look at, probably it's $10 a glass, I would think, and you get at least 4 or 5 glasses.
Oh,
out of it.
yeah, out of a bottle?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you're doing pretty well.
About
you know.
5, 6.
5,
6,
yeah.
yeah, if you're doing
Yeah.
a 6-ounce glass.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. Good point. Because this is by
700,
milliliters.
We used to have a lot of customers
Yeah,
bring their own
750.
wine.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. You can do that. Yeah.
Give me a good sign to have my own.
Yeah.
There's a lot
That's
of
smart.
people asking about.
And it's something that, like we say, and I like Bobby over at Larry's too. That's the only other place I know that they have it. And it's interesting too, because I had a lady who's a friend of mine in Millville, she was talking about asking me to help her get one. And I thought she's only open 2 nights a week.
Yeah,
And that's not going to work.
They won't give up because they have a
No,
limited amount of
Yeah,
licenses.
exactly. Yeah. Where you're here from 6:30 till
6:30
10.
to 10 p.m.
Yeah, which is great. It really is.
Well, I hope you're not serving too many bottles at 6:30.
Yeah.
Well, if somebody
Bloody
worked
Mary.
all night, well, if you worked all night, maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
well, I say that. It's funny because when my brother-in-law had a South Island Tavern,
Oh, that's right.
all
yeah.
the doctors would come in after
For breakfast.
For breakfast, and Bloody Marys and eggs. Yeah, yeah.
Do you see? You never know, right?
Yeah.
It's what they want.
Yeah.
And seriously, though, I know in Millville, I had a pizzeria, and people would come in, like 1 o'clock and 12:30 in the morning. They just got done work, 4 to 12 shifts, so they came in, they got pizza, they got wine. Obviously, I didn't have. But you had a lot of the bars staying open. I bet that's why a lot of the bars stayed open till 2, because people they get done work. A lot of the factory workers that count, are there until 12 o'clock. Give them a chance to go have a drink and sandwich.
Well, we were talking. My friends and I were talking back in the day. Like we were saying, it was so different because when we were growing up, dancing was in. And we were talking about all the places
that's true.
that you had in Vineland. You had Revelations, you had Holiday Inn, you had the Saloon. But then Presidential Diner at the circle,
24
right?
hours.
It was 24 hours.
Now-
So Liberty Bell was the last one to close at 4 a.m. And then people would go to Presidential to work off all the alcohol they drank. Yeah.
Now, this guy, tell everybody what you did. And Yilmaz is a Vineland High School graduate.
Yes.
He's got a wonderful father named Mehmet. But tell everybody how you developed into becoming one of the key restaurant people in Cumberland County for sure.
I graduated 1998, Vineland High School. The time I was going to school, I was cooking at the Millville. I was working around between 40 to 50 hours plus school. That's how I
You're putting
started.
an 80-hour week.
Yeah, that's how I started. After I graduated, my dad really needed help. I just stopped going to school, help him out. That's how I get into business. And he had two partners. I bought both of them partner out. And then just me and my dad, 50-50 at the Millville. Now I opened this middle in a pandemic, almost 2 years. Yeah, we're gonna have a 2nd year anniversary in November, first week.
The place
We
will be
do
packed.
we do Monday through Thursday, 40% off straight, 3 to 10. Full menu open, 40% off.
It'll be jammed.
Yeah. We did very well last year
For
first year.
Well, too, Yilmaz, we've talked about it a lot, but, I just want people to know that when you think about it, I was here last Sunday. You were in Millville, but I was here.
Yes, I was in Millville.
And I had my buddy Joe with me, and we did the 2 for $25. And he had meatloaf, and I had turkey. And let me tell you, folks, I had turkey. I mean, I'm telling you, his turkey's fabulous. A big portion of turkey with stuffing and gravy, and then I got Brussels sprouts or some type of a green vegetable, and I had a salad, and then I had dessert.
Still full meal.
Yeah,
full meal.
$12.50, and I took home half the meal. Of course, I have to do that because of having weight loss surgery, but it's like, oh my God. So for me, it's like $6.25 for 2 meals that I got.
We serve pudding or ice cream with it too.
Yeah, absolutely. I had rice pudding. So did, I think Joe did too. We both did. And they put whipped cream on it, they had a little cherry on top of it, and all that stuff. And think about it. Now, if you're by yourself, it's $13.99, which is still really reasonable. In fact, last night, I went to Yilmaz. You were down in Millville.
I was at the Millville,
Right, and I was telling Sandy, of course, we got talking about how fabulous the flounder is. I ordered a big.
You had a stuffed flounder with crab.
That's my favorite. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Last night I actually had fried flounder.
Yeah.
And that's what Sandy's husband's favorite is, Garrett. He loves. And I was telling Sandy, I think I told you years ago, I had an uncle who lived to be 94 years old. Bill Felmy was his name. His favorite meal of any meal, anywhere, was that broiled stuffed flounder from
Stuffed flounder,
He loved it. That was it. And it is. I mean, I guess why your food is so good is obviously your dad taught you, and that tradition kept it up.
We've been in business since 1995.
Yeah, and that's a long time. And this is a tough business.
Yes.
You know, you still look young. You know, this is a tough business. Of course, you are young.
I'm at 45.
Yeah, well, you never know it. Graduating in '98 is pretty darn young.
Yeah.
But I mean, it really is the consistency. I don't think I've ever had a bad meal at the Queen restaurant.
No.
Here I know I haven't, or even at the diner. And I like it because I see people, especially in Millville, because I know a lot of people there. That it's nice to see. Yilmaz is always very nice to me, and I like Fatih too. And your sisters are very nice, and Dad is great. So it's a family affair, and it's got to be nice for you to see everybody working so hard and doing everything that you want to do. You have a tremendous menu. My gosh.
Yeah, we got large menu.
You really do. Sandy, tell them what you had tonight.
Oh, I had a Greek salad with the gyro meat put on top of it.
And,
very good.
And Wednesday or Thursday, I know I could come up here and get my favorite, which is chicken pie. Someplace now, I got to tell you, this is the way it goes. Myers used to make chicken pies, you know what I mean? And they had the crust on top. Yeah. You had that tonight too, our producer, along with George Kuchia. And I love that. And this is the only place, maybe Larry's too once a week or something, that has that. And the other chicken pie I can't eat because it's so thick, the flat rolled out kind.
Yeah, the one with the dumpling.
Right,
yeah,
dumpling. I can't eat that because of my surgery, so that doesn't. I can't. So this I love, and this is great. And and I know you guys have told me in Millville they won't make the one I like in Millville. They said only vinyl people like what you like, Quinn.
Millville, we have dumpling.
I know you do.
The dumpling.
And I know that.
We have a lot of people like dumpling over there.
Yeah.
Over here, we still have both dumplings and the crust pie.
Yeah, and I'm sure you sell more of the dumplings.
We have both of them,
You sell many?
Sunday, we have dumpling.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday, we have crust pie, the one you like.
I like. So every Wednesday or Thursday, come up here. That's why we put the show on Wednesday, right? So I make sure he has what's happening. But how about business? Is it still growing pretty much?
Yes, every day is growing.
That's good.
Yes.
Now this should help too, bring people in. I would think
It's only 1 week.
Cedar Rose Water. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And it is nice if you come in, even if there's 6 of you or 4 of you, you want to get 2 bottles, 2 people like red, 2 people like white. Look how nice that looks there. 2022. George has got a shot of that. And I'm telling you, folks, it's one of the most beautiful restaurants in Cumberland County. It's very well decorated. I had my daughter-in-law's birthday party here recently, and they were so nice. They brought out her favorite cake with candle and all that kind of stuff. And in fact, we sat at that table with everybody. We had 8 of us here. So right there you see, that's not my family, but there's Yilmaz and a bunch of people that are enjoying their time here. That's what's nice, the way you have these tables set up. You can do like 8 people across, can't you? Yeah, which is really nice. And the booths, the tables, the outside, the inside, just a really beautiful, beautiful place. So what's your next plan? Where are you going to open again?
Next plan right now, it's too much for me. More than 2, it's too much.
Yeah, I was just kidding. I think you got plenty on. And one of his key people is in Turkey. So he's between here and Millville. He's down Millville, right? A lot of the time. I like it because I get to see him in Millville, but it's nice having him.
I'm at the Millville too sometimes because when they need help, I gotta be up there too.
Got to be where you got to be. And I see Dad down there a lot.
Yeah, he's always there.
So it's a family affair, which is a good thing. In this business, I have cousins that have men's restaurant. They were good at men's restaurant.
In Cape May?
Yeah,
I've been there.
Well, that was the one. They were in Millville. That's my Uncle Franklin Men's one day. And that's my cousin.
Was that
Chet.
Millville or Vineland?
Vineland. It was Vineland. Yeah. In fact, it was funny. This restaurant, my cousin's own, was right on the Millville Vineland line.
Yeah, it was right on the line.
The building, thank God for him, was in Vineland. So he had a liquor license and everything, restaurant. But you used to laugh. You'd say you park in Millville and eat in Vineland because the parking lot was in Millville. They do well.
Well, where it's like that too, over where now it's Raymore and Flanagan. The boundary goes right through the building.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. I remember the one section of Kmart was the garden section was in Millville. Yes, because the thing was run each way. So what would you like to tell your customers as in November, we're going to have our 2nd anniversary?
Yes, November, probably first week, we're going to have a 2nd year anniversary.
And you give food away almost.
Yes, Monday through Thursday, 3 to 10. We have a open full menu. Whatever they spend, we just deduct 40% from the bill.
Fabulous. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
That works. And let me tell you, folks, they have great desserts. The soups are fantastic. The meals are wonderful. And the company, and you, to your credit, I know 1 or 2 of your sisters are here too. But you have some really good help. Your servers are very good. That's important, especially nowadays, aren't they? They really are. Did a wonderful job for us, and I thank you for hosting us and having the mayor here. And Sandy's in Point today, but I promise you we'll have him here again soon. And we thank all of you for joining us. Yilmaz Kankel, who is the owner of this restaurant and is a partner in the Queen Diner. This is a Queen restaurant. Lincoln and Landis in Vineland. You see, they're open 7 days a week, 6:30 a.m. till 10 p.m. Well, you don't give up on hours, do you? You're
Nah.
still working 80 hours a week.
Even slow or not, we still wait to 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I was here
Open every holiday.
Yeah, well, God bless you. I was here that Sunday night.
Yeah.
And I didn't leave till like 10 at 10. You know, there weren't a whole bunch of us here, but yeah, and that is nice. It really is. It's your here.
Yes.
And it's great to have a full, you look at this menu, folks, when you come in, it's like a book, Sam, right? It's unbelievable. All things very nice. And it's the Queen Restaurant, Lincoln, Atlantis, and Vineland. And it's their pleasure to serve you. And as they mentioned while in Millville, they've always had quality food there, and they brought it here. And Millville and Vineland are both lucky. Both have a queen, right? That's what's wonderful. And we appreciate that. Yelmas, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It's good to see you.
Thank you too.
Yep. Thank you.
And for Sandy Forosisky and Yelmas Kankel, I'm Jim Quinn. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again soon. Take care. Have a nice night. Bye-bye.
This has been a QBC television production, in association with our partners and sponsors. QBC broadcasts on Comcast Cable Channel 22, and live streams its programming on Facebook and YouTube. All rights reserved by Quinn Media and QBC, programming that serves the South Jersey market.